Hey y'all, I'm Allison Asarch from Nashville, Tennessee.
Hey, I'm Sean Fraser from the Ritzy Kids.
Hunters, this is Johnny from Rail Motor.
Hey, it's Shane from Blind Season.
Hey, it's Rob Stanier, and you can check out my music on all the streaming platforms.
Check out my latest music on all the streaming sites.
Check out my debut album on all streaming platforms.
Check out our new debut album.
Check us out on Spotify and Apple Music. And you're listening to our friends, Braggy and Curly.
And my favorite bands from Australia.
My two favourite podcasters,
Braggy and Curly.
Braggy and Curly.
On the
Unfiltered and Undiscovered podcast.
And Rossi.
Okay, hey there everyone, it's Curly here and welcome to episode 191 of the Unfiltered and Undiscovered podcast. Another fun-filled show lining up tonight. As always, we've got the good co-hosts that I have. I've got Braggy from Adelaide. How are you, boy, Braggy?
Awesome.
And of course we've got Rossi, who's got a friend on the podcast because he's finally got, with our special guest, Katie Brooke, another Roosters supporter. So how are you, Rossi? How are you, Katie?
Great, thank you.
We're feeling better than all St. George supporters. That's all I can say.
I would say that is 100% true. So, Katie, before we turn to you, just a little bit of news happening around the place. It's been interesting following the CMA Fest in Nashville. It's huge. You just cannot comprehend how big it is. And two of our previous guests, Tyler Rodriguez and Brittany Elise, have been playing on some of the stages of CMA. So I think that is an awesome feat. And I think we are that close to getting a shout out to the boys in Nashville. So
that would be massive.
It would be. It would be.
You've worked very hard for it, Curly. You've worked really hard for it, mate.
It's a shared thing. It's a shared thing. And, you know, when we get that article written by some powerful Rolling Stone magazine or something that says, what is this shout out to the boys all about? That's when we know we've been successful. All right. Hey, Braggy, what's the news from your part of the world?
I got big news. For me, anyway. I don't know if you guys will agree with this, but someone is touring Australia at the end of the year or the beginning of next year who I very rarely get excited about people touring, and it's David Byrne, who was the lead. Yeah, David Byrne is touring now. I don't know if you guys have ever seen American Utopia, which is the last thing that David Byrne did, which was a stage show, and the whole band. No one was plugged in. Everyone, it was all wireless. Everyone was on stage. The whole band was dancing, drummer included. Right?
Oh, wow!
It's one of if you get a chance to look at it, it's on Prime or Disney or something. It's called David Byrne American Utopia. It's one of the most amazing shows I've ever seen. He's not touring that. He's got a new album out, but he's coming in January to Adelaide.
David Byrne was Talking Heads.
Talking Heads, the lead singer of Talking Heads. He is a true artist in the sense of the word, like David Bowie.
I saw photos of Talking Heads together this week, and there's been teasing an announcement around that as well, I believe.
Okay, well, David Byrne's got a new album out and a new single, and I've just found out today he's touring, so I'm already waiting for the tickets to come online.
I did see him in '84.
Wow!
He's doing Stop Making Sense. I saw that show.
Oh my God! See, well, this American Utopia is like an extension of what Stop Making Sense.
They played a festival in Gosford, mate.
Wow!
You can't
get Gosford.
Gosford.
You cannot get bigger than that, right?
That's right.
Braggy, footy tipping's getting a bit tighter.
Footy tipping, I missed it the last couple of days. We're up to. Curly is still in front with 126. Yeah. I've moved up to 124 because I got 7 out of 8 in the rugby league.
How did he get that? Yeah.
Last week. And Rossi is 122. So it's 2 points between each of us. 126, 124, 122.
Impressive.
It's tough for Rossi. He's had a few things on his plate.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. He'll come good.
But it's 7 out of 8 just confirms that you know nothing about rugby league.
Exactly.
Listen, you got that. You got no idea.
That's my tactic.
Rossi, your part of the world. What's the big news happening from the music capital of Australia?
Saw a fabulous show on Friday night, and I happen to know all the bands pretty well. One of my personal super favorite bands in the country, the On and Ons, which is a member of the Died Pretty, a member of the Hoodoo Gurus, a member of the Tribesmen / Kings of the Sun, and they were fantastic. And I was supporting a band that did 2 sets called the New Christs, which is Rob Younger and 2 members of Radio Birdman, and it was a fabulous night out. And I reckon I might have known like 85% of the audience, and actually 100% of the band.
That's awesome. And where did they play at, Rossi?
They played in Marrickville in Sydney. But the New Christ were great. Yeah, New Christ were absolutely killer. 2 sets they played, which is not bad. Rob Younger's 75.
Yeah.
And they did. Yeah, they really went hard. Yeah, it was pretty impressive.
So just reading some of between the lines of some of the relationship breakdowns since Radio Birdman, I'm probably guessing there was one Radio Birdman that wasn't playing.
Well, there's only one Radio Birdman. Well, that's right. Well, it's Jim Dixon, the bass player, who's the current bass player, and Dave Ketley, who is the second guitarist, who is, of course, much maligned in some circles, but I think Dave's a good bloke. But he's a really good bloke and a really nice fella. But they were great. It was a really, they sold the place out. It was chockers to the roof. It was fantastic. Kind of bitter last days about it, though, I think, with the New Cross. They're going to Europe, and I think, it's going to be hard for them to keep doing stuff. They're getting a bit too old.
Yeah. We all get old, don't we? But which is not the segue we wanted. But anyway, Katie.
Well, I am feeling it up here in the cold now. Feeling older.
You are an old friend of ours. How's that for a nice
Nice save.
You were on the show, episode 130, I think, was early December 2023. Too Far Down had just come out, I believe, and we were talking about all things, and you sort of braggy, like I was listening to the podcast again today, and that was a fun episode. It was so good. We tested out the trivia quiz, and somehow it almost was a tiebreaker. Since then, we found out that Rossi is just far superior to anything else on this earth. That's one of the reasons we stopped it, I think. So, but you hinted Braggy was chasing a scoop, and you hinted that there was like an album on its way. And so, what's been happening since the last time we spoke?
Well, yes. So just put an album out, and that was the very first single I released on the album. I released 4. So the title track as well just came out. So that one, 2 others, title track and album just came out. So it was about, so started in 2023, 18 months kind of, of releasing. And then 3 years in the making though, because it's just been 3 years since I released my debut album. So it's been a long haul and nice to have it out. Nice to, you sort of, play out in your head how it might go, because we did a tour with this as well. So I did my first headline tour, sold out my album launch show here at home, which was amazing. So I was playing out how it might go and having all these, will it be successful, won't it be? But it's been really good. It's exceeded expectations, and it's there now. So now I'm on to the next stuff.
I can sense it's been. Normally, I get the first question. Curly, what happened?
Oh, sorry, mate.
I can sense it's been a long slog just by the latest single, Relentless. And there's a line in there which I really love: "Sit yourself on a merciless horse," which perfectly describes the music industry, I think.
Yeah.
And especially for a woman in it. So, with my first question is, how do you try and set yourself apart? Because we have the show, we have a lot of other women on the show that are in the same boat. They're all really good singers, all really good songwriters. How do you set yourself apart from the rest of those girls that are also on the merciless horse?
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
And there are a lot of us. I think that's what I've been doing as well the last 3 years. I hate the term branding, but it's not quite branding, but it's coming to terms with what my sound is. So it's this combination of like writing songs that really suit my sound, writing good songs, getting that emotional connection in my writing, but then also the branding stuff like who am I? What do I do? But I think what sets me apart is that I'm rural based. I really live, I'm in the cattle yards sometimes helping. I helped my dad move a mob of cattle yesterday. I'm out in the garden homesteading. I'm doing all the farm life stuff. And, country music's country, but I feel like, I'm set apart with that kind of experience of the land and working with the land. And there's a lot of that in this record as well. And, so I got really firm on who I was, what my sound was, and really put that forward and made sure people knew that Katie wears this kind of stuff. She lives this kind of lifestyle and knew about me and got to know me on that next level. So, it's been really fun doing that.
You're not just metaphorically on the horseback. You actually are on
the horseback. Absolutely.
Watching the clip for Relentless, that whole thing became. I listened to the song first, like the visuals can kind of lead you down the path you're going down, and that's one of the reasons people do video clips, I think. But like it does sound undeniably country. It doesn't sound pop. It doesn't sound city. It sounds country. And then when paired with the visuals, you're like just you patting the horse and things like that. That is undeniably. This is a rural tale. It's not a city. It's not a city tale at all. And that's that. Yeah. Like it just became so absolutely evident. And so if you've leaned into that, it's a great thing. I think. What do you reckon, Braggy?
Yeah.
Yeah, the songs on the album too are about country lifestyle to 8, 9 to 5 and things like that. It's not, you're not singing about I'm going to the bar to get on the piss with the girls or whatever. You know what I mean?
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
No,
and that's relatable. I haven't written it yet, but I probably will write that one.
Can you actually call it that?
Bad way.
Give that title to the song. I'm going to the bar and getting them on the piss with the girls. I mean,
yeah, that sounds perfect.
And give a shout out to the boys.
Yeah, with a shout out to the boys. We can work it in there somewhere. That'll be the little tagline.
Writes itself. That's why it's
Here we are co-writing.
Yeah, I think on the last episode, Braggy actually talked about the likeness of your voice with Dolly Parton at and once again that traditional country sort of style and voice shines through. Now, I'm not a big Dolly fan, so I can't necessarily say that it's Dolly, but it's certainly what Rossi's picked up, that traditional. It's country. It's I wouldn't even call it traditional. It's just got that country feel to it. So
yeah.
Still got an Aussie
I'm a big fan of I mean, I try. Well, obviously, being Aussie, I guess, but I do love the American country music. That is where my heart is. I do love traditional American country music, and Australian as well. But I've kind of lent into that. And as we said about the film clip too. When Jeremy Manette came out to shoot it, he said to me, like, he's been up for Golden Guitars and everything for his videography work. And he shoots for the Wolf Brothers. He shoots for all these different artists. He said about roughly 200 country artists in Australia now. And he said, this is the most country film clip I've ever shot. Like, it's actually really country. Yeah. So, I think it's important to really showcase that.
Losing leaves and bruises in the fog and test your faith. Don't
Well, it certainly came across that way, and yeah, but it didn't seem forced or fake. It seemed authentic.
Yeah,
to me.
well,
How
it
about
was
you
just
guys?
hanging out on the farm, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I got Dad's whips and had a little whip crack and, did all the fun
your dad's
things.
got a whip background, hasn't he?
He does, yeah. He's a stock whip maker, so that's just another element.
Yeah,
Yeah, well, that's
Proper hillbilly.
It seems like there's a lot of real personal songs on here. One of them is, I think, is Someone's Enemy. It intrigues me a little bit. But which?
Ooh, yes, I agree.
Yeah, it seems very. Which is, do you think, of the tracks on the album is the most personal to you?
That one and Too Far Down are probably my favorites and my most personal. And I think songs that were just therapy, like I just sat down with no intention to write anything spectacular. Well, I never really do. I just sit down and often I just needed to get something off my chest. But those two, I really needed to work through things and process emotions. And Someone's Enemy was a friendship breakup. It was a really sad, slow unraveling of a friendship that I thought would be there forever. But not only that, but it just reminds me that, if any time in life I come across someone that, doesn't seem to like me or, can't align on things or, just when you meet those people, you're like, we just don't really gel. We don't really connect. Is that I don't have to get down on myself about that because I'm just a human and not everyone's going to be my person and I'm not going to be for everyone. So I think that was that kind of song, just working through that because I'm someone who takes it really personally. I'll get quite down on myself if I know, I'm not evidently liked or that kind of thing. So I took it just, a little therapy song, took it to the campfire and sang it to a group of mates. And I just said, just something I've been working on. And they loved it. And then I just kept kind of doing that at little gigs or shows that I do. I'd pop it in and people go, I just love that. And I just thought, it's just one of those human things. It's a life thing that we go through. I think people just want to kind of hear that validation in a song sometimes. They just want to go, I get that. I've been through that myself. So it's funny you mention it because that seems to be the song that keeps popping up for people. And it's really interesting now that the album's out to hear what songs are resonating or what songs are just kind of, spiking interest.
It's interesting to hear you talk about it like that because like if it's a breakup with a partner or a lover or someone, it seems to be more of an explosion of a thing. But when it's a friend, and I've had this personal experience, it's a slow unraveling, just what you described just then. No one writes about that really. So it's just, I was intrigued by it. Now you mention it, now it makes much more sense. The song, sorry. Yeah, sorry, you go.
Yeah, I tried to kind of broaden it so we could connect as if it was a partner, a work colleague, mother-in-law, or a friend, or whoever's kind of like, not vibing with you and it's hurting you.
Yeah, it's a slower unraveling, like you described, though. I feel rather than,
explosion. Yeah.
Explosion. Yeah, I don't know if that's the right word.
Yeah, it fits.
So that wasn't one of the singles that you put out? That was purely an album track?
It was just an album track, yeah. That was a hard decision, actually. And if I could go back, not to say that I don't love my single songs, but maybe I just thought, I don't know if this will fit on country radio. I wasn't really sure how it was going to be received, even though it was received really well live, as I said, and around the campfire and, people were connecting with it. I thought, I'm not quite sure if it's that bop that, you would need for a single, but I've learned from that, actually. I've learned a lot about that kind of stuff.
One of the messages I took away from the song is that, and hearing you talk about it sort of solidifies that for me, is that so many people spend their life, with that slow unraveling of a friendship or someone that's, shafted them or done something horrible to them or thinks that you've done something horrible to them. And so they truly do become this enemy in the background. And some people get fixated on the enemy and sends them into a spiral. And one of the messages that I took away from the song very clearly was go out and enjoy your life with the people
Yes.
that love you and surround you, and spend your energy there, and don't focus on the fact that someone's over there secretly plotting and sticking pins in a, what do they call those things?
Voodoo doll.
Oh,
Voodoo doll, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I certainly took away from it, and I thought that's a cool message. So
Yeah.
I guess
And
someone
it
can
was-
hate.
Yeah.
Someone can hate you all they want, but if it doesn't affect you, it's just them hating you.
yeah,
And I think that's what I concluded on. I just thought, that's why I think it was the line, I still eat, sleep, breathe, whatever. I'm living. And yeah, I think I just focused on my little family, the people who do love me. And every time I did that, it shifted me into, well, yeah, this is where I need to be, and not in that headspace. Because you kind of spiral about it. What did I do? What could I do? Yeah.
yeah.
Tell me, does it reassure you, leaving that there pistol loaded? Dear keeper of the gates, I'm sure for me you'll never open. Maybe it's your moon, sun, or setting. Maybe it's my Mars or Mercury. I didn't make it to your good book, but I can tell you I still sleep, breathe, because there are people who love me deeply despite being someone's enemy.
What could I have done better?
Yeah.
One card an artist has up their sleeve, though, is that they can write about it. And
That's the best thing about songwriting, isn't it?
it's so
Oh,
good.
yeah.
Just
Therapy.
ask Taylor about that.
Yeah.
Oh,
Diss
yeah.
tracks. And I'm quite good at them,
That's so good.
I must say. Just
I
can't
know
wait for that next album. Who's going to piss me off
I know
next?
someone who's got an album full of them.
No, but it just helps because when you are going through things, the best thing you can do, journal, talk about it, write about it. It just moves it out, move it outwards.
Yeah. Deal with it in a song. That's good point.
The old writing it on a piece of paper and setting fire to it and throwing it in a bin's not a bad one either.
Yeah, I do that on a full moon. Yeah.
Yeah, on a full
Full
moon.
moon tonight.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Why does it have to be a
Release.
full moon?
Because it's the end of that cycle. A full moon is a release and a new moon is a new beginning. So if you want new things to come in, you write it down and manifest on a new moon. If you want to release things, you get rid of them on a full moon.
It's a big full moon tonight. It's a 1 in 19 years full moon tonight too.
Is it?
Truly?
And it's in Sagittarius.
My wife was actually down at Brighton Les Sands in Sydney photographing it earlier on tonight, actually.
Oh, wow.
Angus, she loves that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
I just
That's
looked
beautiful.
outside hoping to see the full moon. I just see a street light. So
It's a strawberry moon, that's what they call it tonight.
Oh, nice.
A strawberry moon.
Yes.
I've never heard of that.
yeah.
Well, that happens every
That's
19 years,
another
Braggy.
That's another song. Strawberry. We've had Harvest Moon.
Yeah.
Strawberry Moon.
Yeah.
That's what you're thinking about, Strawberry Kisses by Nikki Webster.
Yeah. It's a good one to go to.
Oh God! Only a freaking Sydney person would bring up Nikki Webster. Remember, she came out of the Olympics.
Yep, I do.
That was awesome.
Yes. Mm.
Yeah, that was cool. Okay, let's get back to where we were talking about this fantastic album by Katie Brooke, Relentless. I want to talk about your producer. I just want to know if his real name is Rusty Crook.
Yeah, I think it's Russell, but yeah, he's Rusty Crook. Yep.
That's a great name.
Good stage name, hey?
Yeah, no, there's a particular song that I was listening to, and I know you've got like a really good vibrato or tremolo on your voice.
Yeah.
But on the song, I don't know if you picked up on this, Rossi, if you listened to this track, this song called Secondhand Spurs, and it seems like Curly?
Yeah, that's
the
another
tremolo on your
one.
voice and that, is that been like
I
That's
know.
something done in production.
No.
That is actually how you do it. It's amazing.
I called Rusty one day and I was like, because we're real purists. Like, you know, sometimes he's like, we have to adjust little bits and pieces. So it could be sounding a bit off. But he said, you are one of the least tuned I've worked with, you know. So, but everyone's got a little bit of tuning on their voice. But no.
No, I'm not talking about tuning.
But like an effect. Like
I was talking about tuning. I was talking about the vibrato. The vibrato. Oh, it's almost tremolo. I call it tremolo, Rossi. It's because her vibrato is that in and out. It felt like it was like being done in production of volume off and on.
Yeah, no, I'm not. Good. When I heard it back, I
did you hear that too?
But yeah, must be the microphone. And I think that song too, certain keys, certain ways or, you know, words of singing as well, it just brings it out even more.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Tell us more about Rusty. He seems like he's good for your music.
Great. Yeah, he's been my everything you could hear, anything that's out of mine, you know, he's been my producer since the very beginning. And he's just awesome. He just gets it. I think, you know, I've heard a lot of horror stories from artists saying, I took my song in, I love it so much, but the producer ruined it and took it a completely different way. But Rusty, everything, you know, he's almost a mind reader because I don't really explain what I want done, but I'll just take my songs in, you know, as they are. And he just takes it to that level that we need and just transforms it in the studio. So he's awesome. He's now my live band manager as well. So yeah, he's my guitarist on the road now. And that's great because he does everything on the, you know, in the session anyway. And now we've got a dobro player named Thor Phillips, another cool name.
Thor Phillips, yeah.
Yeah, so he's a great artist and as in his own right. And
his full name's got to be Arthur. Arthur.
I don't know. No, I don't think it is. Maybe.
Oh, he's a Viking.
He might be. Are you a Viking, Braggy? I was only just thinking. Do you know who you're reminding me of tonight?
No.
The guy off Vikings.
Oh, yeah.
What's his name?
He's much better looking than me, that guy. He's an Australian guy.
He's an Australian, yes. Because we watched him on Black Snow. Have you seen Black Snow?
No.
It's a really good Aussie crime show. But yeah, it's reminded me of it. Speaking of Vikings.
That's cool. I love Vikings though. I watched that. Oh, it was an awesome show.
Yes, my partner did. I haven't watched it yet.
Well, that's good that to have a producer that plays in your band that really knows your stuff personally is good because sometimes we hear songs on here that I feel like overproduced, but I don't think yours is.
Well, that's what we're pretty careful of that. We want it to be fresh and modern country, but we don't want to take, as we, you know, talked about that traditional stuff, we don't want to take away from the fact that it's so traditional. And I think there are so many artists nailing that modern pop country thing that I really don't need to go near it. It's not going to do my music any justice. And it doesn't suit me as much as traditional.
Well, you are actually living on the land.
Yeah, yeah, that's right.
Like that's the point of difference for you, right?
Yeah, that's it.
It is.
That'll be
and just for the listeners, if you do go to thorphillips.com, you can see that he actually does look like a bit of a very young, striking version of a Viking. So
yep, there you go.
Rusty Crook, the Viking, Katie Brooke. Who else is in the band?
So you're playing more.
Rusty Crook.
Thor Phillips, Rusty Crook,
Katie Brooke.
Katie Brooke.
Just a three-piece.
Yeah.
Well, we've got two other guys. We're kind of using session guys for the rhythm section.
Okay.
Bass and drums. So we've got Sonic Edwards coming on board for the next.
Sonic Edwards. Come on. I can't wait to hear the bass players know.
Oh, what's the bass player's name?
No, he's coming on bass. He's coming on for bass, Sonic is, and we've got who have we got for drums? What's his name?
Thumper Jones.
Paul Bain. So that's the.
He's going to have to change his name, really.
He is.
Bash of Baines.
Yeah.
And just so, like,
it's always hilarious when we have you on, Katie.
Yeah, it is. I'm loving it.
Guys,
Sonic Edwards, just so you know, he is the owner of Earworm Music. So how cool is that name, Earworm Music?
That is cool. Yeah, he's great.
Now,
so
obviously, you're playing more in a band because last time we spoke, you were more of a soloist and you were branched out in with the band. So do you play more now with the band than what you do as a soloist?
Yeah, well, Thor and I, so we're both Northern Rivers based. Rusty's out at Tamworth. So, around here, we're just kind of going to do the duo thing a little bit. Sometimes bring Rusty in for trio. We've kind of got layers. We can do duo, trio, or get the band. And then we've got things like, big festivals coming up like Gympie and Tamworth. So that'll be kind of full band stuff. But yeah, we've just done the album launch tour, and that's been a full band kind of headline tour. And that was awesome. Just such a big difference, going from that acoustic pub club player that I was years ago now to playing my own stuff, playing with the band, doing headline shows. So it's feeling, that lift off, which is great.
Are you finding, Katie, when you play with the band, that the songs are evolving from when you first wrote them?
Yeah, I think so. I think that happens a lot in the studio, and then we play it pretty much how it is, from there. But yeah, you do. And the energy changes as well when you're on the stage actually delivering, that same emotion again. It brings it all kind of back up in a way.
Yeah.
And you're pushing it out to the audience and sharing it, and they're connecting, and you just bounce off each other, which is really nice.
A song on day one to a song after 12 months of playing it, they just grow. There's little nuances, there's little touches, there's little things just evolve and move and change. Like it's really interesting to listen to a live recording of an act from then and then listen to the same thing 6 months later. It's like, is that the same song?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because they take it, you go, I can take that here. If I do that next time I play it, I'm gonna sometimes you make a mistake if whatever instrument you play and you go, hang on, I'll do that next time.
So it actually works, really cool.
Sometimes.
I do it all the time.
Don't hear it. With basses like Rossi, no one hears the bass.
They hear mine and they don't even want to.
They've got no choice in it. So, Katie, with your songwriting, are you songwriting with the band, or do you just prefer that as something that you do yourself?
Yeah, it's very much a me thing. I'm a real solo writer. This whole album wasn't intended to be, because I have been doing a little bit of co-writing. But I, solo wrote the whole thing. It just kind of fell out and there it was. So, yeah, it's not something I'm balking at. I do love co-writing, and I probably will try and co-write a little bit more. But, yeah, I just tend to do it a lot on my own, open up a lot more on my own.
Yeah. Can we just go back to Secondhand Spurs and just talk about what is that song actually about? Because I was listening to it and I actually enjoyed the song, but I was sort of struggling to get the picture.
And I was worried about that. Yeah, because it's pretty niche, and it's just a sort of reflective. That was a time in my early 20s that I was kind of reflecting on. And when I did put it together, I went, this is not an obvious story. It's kind of a read between the lines, or interpret it your own way, or put the puzzle together. And I was a little bit concerned about that, but it kind of worked anyway, and we went with it. So in my early 20s, I moved out to Tamworth, and I ended up renting a place down King George Avenue, which is right off Peel Street. And have you guys heard about King George Avenue in Tamworth? It's haunted.
Ooh.
No,
so it's meant to be cars that just kind of come at you and then disappear. And I've heard all different things about people walking across the road, ghosts disappearing, all this kind of stuff.
Wow.
So that was really interesting. So that's a layer to that song. And I was writing to horses at that time, heartbreak, horses, young love, all that kind of stuff. So it kind of captures that in that haunted sense of where I lived down the avenue. And it talks about the avenue in the song, and that's King George Avenue. And it's, I think it even says it was my haunted respite, things like that. So, yeah, it was just a really unsure phase of my life.
It was my savior in disguise. It was my haunted respite. There was room enough to live, but that avenue was restless and I And in my mind, the reins are still in my hands. I'm riding back to that arena sands with my borrowed saddle and secondhand spurs. Life was fresh horses and the taste of dirt. Fate didn't hand me a clue, so I rode on blind down the avenue.
There's another song where you look back at your life. I think A Little Dirt.
Yeah.
That be true as well.
Yeah, that was
But
reflective.
so my question from that song then is what would you? It's a hard question for anybody because most people's answer is I wouldn't change anything, but I don't.
Yeah.
I don't believe in
I
it.
would.
I would. Me too. I would change shit.
Yeah.
I mean, you make mistakes. So what would you change? Just as far as your career goes. that is.
Oh, career. I would have worked a lot harder. I always tell everyone that because you think you're working hard
Yep.
in music,
Yep.
take that and times it by 100
Yes.
and think about what more you can do. So I would have
Yeah.
worked a lot harder. I grew up, I was a teenager doing all the country music talent quests. I've got a ton of trophies in the garage. I was the trophy winner. I was the you're going to make it. I was then opening the Jim Haynes Bush Breakfast show at Tamworth Country Music Festival at 16. I was on my way early and I thought, well, I'm on my way. I've always wanted to be a singer. I'm going to be a singer. It'll all work out. And I just kind of didn't work hard enough for that, though. I didn't sit back and wait for it to happen, but I just made decisions that weren't right. Like I was slogging it out at pubs and clubs doing cover gigs, and I didn't know how to get out of that. So I worked actually probably too hard in the wrong sense and just didn't take direction. And yeah, there's a lot of things I would have done different in music, but that is a big one overall. If we were to skim over it, is just work a lot harder in the right ways.
Yeah.
It's a little bit like the early try in a footy game. So sometimes that's the worst thing that can happen to a team because they think that this will be easy and they take their foot off the brake. This will be fun.
Totally.
And then they forget to work for it. And not saying that that's what's happened. You were putting your energy in the wrong area, and sometimes success early is sometimes the worst thing that can happen to a person.
And
I just like
before you know yourself.
Yeah, I just like the fact that you can look back and say, "Oh, I should have done that." I was like, I always hear those people that say, "I wouldn't change anything." Oh, that's bullshit.
No regret.
I would have learned to read music.
Yes, actually, that's something. Yep.
I can't change things, but I wish I could.
I mean, whatever experience you do experience, it is still to your advantage.
You take every lesson you learn with you.
You learn from it.
Yeah,
but it doesn't mean you shouldn't say, I wouldn't change anything.
Yeah, I think it's fated. I think we're a little bit fated. Yeah,
half a dozen things I'd do differently.
Oh, and that was that when I was writing A Little Dirt. I was just sitting up late in bed one night. I think I was breastfeeding my daughter, just going, what would I have done different in my 20s? And I was just off on this spiral because I would have done so many things, so many relationships where I just, took second best, took the back seat, things like that. But you do that in your 20s. That's what they're for.
I'm really lucky because I don't remember my 20s at all.
That is lucky.
You don't know, Ross, if you would have done anything different or not.
Yeah. Maybe yours was the best ever.
Other people tell me that I was great.
But you know what, if we talk about this album as a whole, then we look at it, it's good. You're talking about how you are now with Relentless and how it's a hard slog. So it's, I mean, I love an album.
But so do I.
We always
talk about spinning your wheels.
Yeah.
That's
it. And that's how it feels. And then, to sort of come from that and then you go, I'll win Star Maker one day. And then you start applying to get into Star Maker and you get knocked back 3 times. And then you start getting that rejection and it's really tough. So you've got to learn how to deal with that. And it's a hard, you think you learn and you come good, and then you get smacked again and you're like, oh, I've got to work at it again.
But
Yeah,
like
there's a lot to learn.
You're doing a lot of work when nothing's happening for you. You do a lot of work, and then something happens, and it's all been happening in the background without you realizing, you know?
Yeah, and it so does. And I have this thing that I always like to remind myself. It's a little phrase: things change really quickly. Because when you are getting a couple of rejections, you're like, oh, I'm done. You know, I'm getting rejected. I'm not getting looked at. I'm getting blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden this email comes through. I actually had it happen to me last week. Had this like, sorry, that spot's been filled. And I went, what have I got to do? You know, I've tried this. I've, 3 times I've tried for this. And then that same day I got the festival that I've been waiting for forever, which is Gympie, which isn't even announced yet. So
yeah.
Oh,
we got there. It is. Well done, Braggy. Well done, Braggy.
No, that was you, Rossi. That's your first scoop. Well done.
But that's the thing.
Yeah.
It's like it's such a hard flog, and you don't know what's going on in the background, right?
No.
And the model's so different now with all the machinations of socials and all sorts of people. Your music's floating around the ether, and you don't know where it's gone or who's getting their hands on it. You know.
You just got to cover all areas, especially as an independent artist. It's just another layer, you know. And I've got a little team, obviously Jules and Rusty and the people who help me, but. Yeah, you've got to have your hand on the gears with social media, with graphic design, with all of the branding, all of that. So as much as I enjoy it, it does take away then from your actual, artistry, from your songwriting, from your musicianship as well. So yeah, it's just that balancing act.
I had a conversation with my young fella yesterday, and he said to me, you just got to come to the realization no one's going to help you. You got to do it yourself.
Yeah, and that's a really big thing too. You've really got to, because I kind of thought, oh, I'll find out about that. Someone will tell me or something. You've just got to, a lot of it's kind of being a detective too.
Yeah.
Who runs that festival? Who's that person? It's just kind of this whole guessing game, and let's work it out. And that's my favorite phrase too. Let's work it out.
Good work. I like that approach. Yeah.
I do too. Yeah, that's really cool.
Absolutely. I was going to congratulate you, Katie, on using the word relentless and actually having it as part of a chorus. And I thought there can't be that many songs called Relentless. And then I've just done a quick search on Spotify. And yes, how wrong am I? And only Jason Aldean has a song called Relentless.
Well, that was what I thought. Are there, because I don't look outside of country much. But I do look, once I've written something, is it in country? And I did look, and even Jason Aldean, I think his record was Relentless as well. But it was very different and a different, So I thought, oh, whatever. We're not all, there's so many of us now writing the same concepts over and over. We've just got to write our version now.
These songs called Relentless are relentless.
Yeah. Yeah, good one,
Hey,
Brady.
Rossi, I visited Jason Aldean's bar when I was in Nashville.
Well, is that have you been to Nashville? Have you, Curly?
I have been to Nashville. Have you been to Nashville, Rossi?
As a matter of fact, I have. I didn't visit Jason Aldean's bar. I visited a few bars. And what about you, Braggy?
I don't need to go to Nashville because the guests we have on here take me to Nashville.
Well, I haven't even been yet, so you can come with me, Braggy.
Okay. I'm in.
Go to the next CMA Fest.
CMA's, shout out to the boys.
Yeah, that's right. You can
Does it count if Braggy does
Shout
it?
out to me.
Does it count if Braggy does it, Curly?
No, it's all right. I want to see a video of Braggy playing down the Norwood pub and doing a shout out to the boys in between songs. I reckon
I've actually got a gig at the Norwood pub on. It's an original gig as well on August the 2nd.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Well, Katie, your vocals would not be out of place at Nashville.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
you'd kill it
it'd be
there. I
great.
think you would.
I would
Yeah.
love that. And there's
Absolutely.
so many. Every year there are more Australians doing CMAs. So, it's
Someone's
only a
going to
matter of
crack
time,
it soon,
hopefully.
eh?
Well,
Yeah.
ABC, the Australian Broadcasting Corporation, was one of the sponsors of the international stage where the Aussies played. So if you know a
Right.
contact in that field, that's...
Yes. Well, that explains all the ABC artists that played there.
Mm.
There you go. Yeah.
I saw
that'd be
one of our mates was playing a stage in Nashville and it had Australia plastered all over it this week, actually.
Mm.
Yeah.
And Mel Dyer's doing well over there. She had a meet and greet and
She
Yeah, it's
moved
Mel.
over. She lives there now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've known
great.
Mel for a long time. She's a
She's great.
sweetheart. She's
Yeah.
a hardworking young girl.
She started
Yeah.
around the same time. We did the same sort of academy, all that kind of stuff.
Really?
Yeah. She was
Yeah.
younger than me even when we
Yeah.
started out. Yeah.
She was working down here as a vocal coach for a while.
Yep. There you go.
Yeah.
Before she
That's what I
moved
bumped into
over.
her. Yeah.
Now she's stretching the dream. Isn't that awesome? So
Well, she's done the
Yeah.
Bluebird a couple of times as Mel.
Yeah, I think she
Yeah.
has. She's
Yeah.
got connections with songwriters over there already. So yeah, I think she'll
Yeah.
do really well. If anyone's
It-
going to do well, it's probably her.
Yeah. Be great, wouldn't it?
Yes, it would. It's
yeah,
awesome.
and just
But there's
speaking
still- Yeah.
of Nashville, sorry, Brittany Elise will be coming back on the show to share her experience of moving to Nashville and her experience of CMA. So that's one to look forward to. Rossi, I don't think I've let you know that. So
That is cool.
so that would be
Yeah.
really cool.
I saw her reel today on Instagram of the CMAs. Looked amazing for her. That's exciting.
Yeah, it is. It's so awesome, and she's our favourite artist, and we've got to say that because she's done the shout out to the boys.
I'm the only one.
Only a matter of time. You wait.
Yeah, absolutely. The invoice is coming, Katie. So
I don't know about you guys, but I feel very good about Katie.
I do too.
Yeah, I got a good vibe. Now I want to go back to the speak. Let's get back to the album because that's actually what we're here to talk about. If you guys
hey,
no, the reason we love an album is because
taking over as skipper.
Yeah, and I'll let him. How's that?
Look.
Come on, Skip.
The reason we love an album is for the reasons like we just talked about. We talked about Someone's Enemy, those little nuggets, those little gems that you find on an album that people don't put out. The little deep cuts. And I'm looking at the way the tracks go, and I love at the end here we've got 809 to 5, which to me, I could be wrong, but it seems like a shout out to your dad.
Yeah, definitely. Everything's a shout out to my dad. It is. It's
Really?
to my dad, to my family. Yep. They're all hard workers. They're amazing.
So how have they influenced? I mean, it's obvious in some ways, but how have they really influenced the way you as an artist?
Well, my dad being an entrepreneur and creative, I think that's really, always inspired me. Like he's done his whip making now for about 30 years, I think it was. He left his building trade and he stayed home, looked after me a little bit before I started going to school and did that. And he just always thought, well, if it doesn't work, I'm just going to go back to building. And he never had to go back to building. He's still so busy to this day. He does all these festivals and things, but he's award winning now, So I guess kind of seeing that, it's like, wow, I could make something work like that. And then it's the work ethic that I saw go into that business. He never really stopped working. He'd either be doing that or working the farm. And my mum was the same, we never really had a weekend growing up. So that work ethic has just, I always actually felt a little bit lazy compared to them as well, just because they worked so hard. But I think when you get older, you have your kids and you have your dreams and you're working for your home and your life, you dig a lot deeper. So I'm kind of at that age now where I'm going, I'm going to dig a lot deeper for my dreams. And my partner's the same too. He's a really hard worker. So I'm really lucky to have people that surround me so closely too, just always reminding me to pick up the slack. And I think it's a privilege. I've used to see it as, working nonstop. But now I go, it's such a privilege to work for something that I'm so passionate about. I could be working for something that I'm really not that passionate about. But yeah, I think that's where I'm super lucky.
That's a great answer.
Thanks.
Yeah. I think we need to start a movement to bring albums back. And because that larger body of work, you can put in different styles of music. It's not just the old country pop cookie cutter, let's put one out every 2 months sort of scenario. So some albums that I've listened to where someone's done that and then just parceled their last 10 singles into an album, the album becomes a bit, I won't say bland, but very same. Whereas, I like an album that's got a flow and you've chosen the song order. So workers, let us know, how did you work through which songs to start with and which song to where they went? How was that process for you?
Yeah, it was good because my definite starters were Relentless to be track 1. You can hear that intro and it just sounds like a track 1 and it just booms straight into it. And Relentless, it just fits. So then straight into Haunted or Holy, they were always my first 2 because that just led into Haunted or Holy so well and it just set the theme. Track 3, it's a bit weird because 3 is my favorite number and my lucky number. And Too Far Down is like my soul song. It's like my lucky song, I call it. So that kind of had to sit on 3. And then it flowed on from there. I did adjust it on the back end a little bit after sort of 5. But I think, we worked it pretty well with the flow of it and how it would sound if you did sit to listen to 1 to 10, which I admire people that do that so much because I'm an album person too. And I really love doing that. But Ain't No 9 to 5 sits on the end right there because that's kind of now the segue into where I want to go. It's got that really traditional sound, and I want to keep on that path. So it's kind of the entry into the next work, if you will, kind of thing.
I just wish there was a way somehow in the digital world that you could have the pause that you have to turn the album over.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I
agree.
It's like a 2-act play. You know, you go out for intermission. And
It's all part of the ceremony.
It's
all part of the ceremony of it.
Yeah, and then you come back and say, well, let's see what's in store for this next part,
We don't have enough rituals in our lives.
Yeah, what's happened now? What happens now?
Or even just the noise, Braggy, of, taking the needle off and then putting the next one on and then plays. So.
They should incorporate that into the production to make it sound like that.
Yeah, or maybe you just come on, you say, now listen, I've just a little break here. I want you to stop now and get up and make yourself a cup of tea.
I remember a few CDs used to have that sort of noise though on it, like the needle dropping at the start and all that sort of stuff. I remember that. But also you sit there sometimes you go, the fuck, I've got to go up and turn that over now.
Now we're lazy, see. But I did put a whip crack in. There's a recording of me cracking the whip at the start. I can't fake that. That's my whip cracking.
Who does
the count? To wake you up.
Who does the count in for 8 no 9 to 5?
My drummer, Brad Bergen, session drummer.
Right.
Yeah. So he's been my drummer all along too, actually, I think. Yeah.
I was hoping it was your dad.
Nickname Cheese? Is his nickname Cheese?
I didn't get it.
Bergen. But yeah.
Cheese Bergen.
Bergen.
Oh, nice.
So he's Catherine Britt's husband, Brad. And he's
it could
in
be
Pleasures.
Ice.
You know the
Call
Pleasures?
him Ice. Ice Bergen.
Ice Bergen.
to go along with Thor Phillips and Sonic Edward. All
right.
right.
Rusty Crook.
My God.
I need to have a more weird name now. I need to change my name.
Babbling.
No. You're the front person, Katie. You need to have you keep the noise.
Yeah, the front man.
Yeah.
All right, Katie, let's start bringing this home, shall we? So you mentioned you're playing at Gympie. That's a bit of a scoop. What else is happening for you?
So, just did the album launch tour. So that's been massive. And now we're in the works for the next phase. So we're going to carry the Relentless tour on now for the next year or so into Tamworth. So Gympie, Tamworth, they're the 2 big ones. And we'll fill in some gaps in between, which will be really good. All probably New South Wales, Southern Queensland at the moment, but we'll see what happens.
There was another venue I wanted to ask about. Where did I see it? Here we go. I want to know about Mumblegum Hall.
Isn't it great? It's the best venue name ever.
It sounds like something out of what's the name? Who wrote the Gumnut Babies? What was her name, Rossi?
Louisa May Alcott.
Yeah. Sounds like
she wrote Little Women.
Where's Mumblegum?
Mumblegum is my hometown, so that's right down the road.
And it's a hall. Now, so it's like the town hall.
It's an old school town hall.
Does it have a slanted stage? Is the stage got a?
It has a really cool, not slanted. It's got like a fold out though. It's got little wings. It goes out and then wings down the stairs. But I'll tell you something about Mumblegum Hall because I went to Mumblegum Primary School. And that was where I started. Stop. That was when I started singing, and I started singing on that little stage. And I had a little trophy. I took it to the album launch. It says Junior Vocal First Place 2002. So I won my first talent quest at Mumblegum Hall. and
Oh,
then came
wow.
back 23 years later to do the album launch. And I thought, oh yeah, friends and family will show up. It'll be a little bit big, we'll probably almost sell out our tickets. We sold out the tickets, and then we just kept selling them. And my partner had to bring out 12 extra tables. They just came out of the woods from everywhere. So yeah, it was amazing.
Katie, you
Good old
got to
Mumblegum.
film that gig. You got to film that gig, Mumblegum Hall, and it's got to be. I can just see the film now. It's like Katie Brooke live at Mumblegum Hall featuring Rusty. Sonic. Man, that is. There you go.
What struck me is that I'm just very glad that Katie's focusing on New South Wales venues. So I think it's really important.
Yeah. Well, you need some more talent there.
And Katie, if I remember rightly, it was 2023. You were playing Buckwild Country Barn sessions in town.
I remember that. I remember we were talking about that.
So how was that? What was your memories of that?
It was Buckwild.
That was
apparently
cool. It was Buckwild. It was really cool. It was bloody hot. I'll tell you what, that's the main forefront memory, is that I've never been so hot and sweaty in my life. New Year's in Townsville, bloody Queensland. No, it was brilliant.
I agree. Bloody Townsville is so humid. It is sticky and hot. I remember it's awful.
Shocking.
It's subtropical here. So northern New South Wales, we're very similar to Brisbane, and so it's humid. So I was thinking, it's been a hot summer. I'll handle it. It's been hot here. And I got up there and I'm like, holy, what is this? Where am I?
That's a sauna.
They had misters on us on stage. It was like wet. Misting us.
I remember staying in the travel lodge at Townsville once, and it was so hot. We moved our beds onto the balcony and slept out there. It was so hot.
That makes sense. That would make sense.
Shocking. Human beings can't live like this.
Back in the days before air conditioning, Rossi. So
we were having to bang rocks together to start the car in those days.
Like the Flintstones.
All right, Katie, you gave us a hint of the new style of music. So is there anything in the works?
Well, just writing now, which is such a nice thing, like touring this plus writing the new stuff. And I've just got so much happening, sort of lots of title ideas, lots of concept ideas. So I love this time when you can go in and bunker down and start writing again. It's my favorite.
Cool. Well, there better be a new song called Shout Out to the Boys in the next album. Because I think it's a great title.
We'll make it. Well, I want to be the favorite, so I'll make it.
Well, that will definitely win you the favoritism.
Look, as far as I'm concerned,
song written about shout out.
As far as I'm concerned, with the red, white, and blue, Katie's already in front.
The chooks, the chooks.
Double favourite, see? Yeah.
So who's going to win on Wednesday night, Katie, with the State of Origin 2?
The way they usually play it, it'd be Queensland, wouldn't it? But hopefully New South Wales again.
Okay. Yep. I'm happy to go with that. Queensland.
Queensland?
I'll be going for Queensland. I think we've got our backs to the wall, but,
I get in trouble.
By 30. New South Wales by 30.
I'll be cheering for Queensland. My concern is that Rossi's prediction will come true. So,
well, that'll make my family happy because they're very strong New South Wales supporters.
Makes all of us happy.
Strong.
It'll make Rossi very happy. All right, Katie. Once again, it's been awesome speaking with you. Had a lot of fun. I said that our first chat with you was a lot of fun. I think this one was a little bit more fun. So it was really cool, really good catching up with you. Next week could be a surprise show for everyone that's listening. We do know it's State of Origin, and we do hope that Queensland will win. Everyone, Katie's music, her links will be in the show notes. Her music has been added to our 2 playlists on Spotify, the Fresh Female, Unfiltered, Undiscovered, and also our major spa playlist out there, the Unfiltered, Undiscovered, which I think has got about 470 songs on it right now. So it's a real anthology of some of the great music that we've talked about on this particular podcast. Boys, always a pleasure. Katie, loved having you back. And just if you've enjoyed this episode, please like, subscribe, share it with someone that loves new music. or even someone that doesn't like new music, because the more people that we get liking new music, the better off our music industry will be. So until then, we will see everyone next week. Thanks again.
Thank you so much, guys.